The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles started off as a one-off comic in 1984 before getting a few more issues due to its popularity, and then was made into a household name with the '87 cartoon. TMNT was a big part of the late 80s, so it only made sense that the franchise would see a release on the big screen 3 years after it blew up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 was the first live-action iteration of the heroes, with the Turtles being played by actors in suits and certain animatronics. The movie is a pretty typical Ninja Turtles story, with the reptilians fighting off against the Foot Clan and their evil leader, the Shredder. It feels like a half mix of the Mirage comics and the 80s cartoon, in that the story has the same maturity and backstory as the comics, but the action and personalities of the characters feel more in line with the cartoon. Well, let's not stall any further. Let's give this adaptation of TMNT a deeper look. Before diving into the nitty-gritty, let's go over the story so that my critiques are easier to understand. The movie starts out with a report from April O'Neil about the rise in crime in New York, accompanied by footage of said crime. Cut to nighttime, and the reporter is leaving the office, only to be hassled by some goons. Luckily, the Turtles were nearby and fended off the attackers. Unfortunately, in the heat of the battle, Raphael accidentally left one of his sais at the site. The Turtles go back to their lair, celebrating their victory, and unwinding after talking to Splinter. Raph goes back into the streets to find his sai, only to fight some crime and run into Casey Jones. They get into a fight, but Casey runs away before things get too heated. Cut to April in her apartment, with her boss, Charles, worried sick about the mugging last night and the overall increase in crime. She blows the whole thing off, claiming she can fend for herself. The scene also introduces Danny, Charles' son, who dabbles with the Foot Clan. April runs another report on the increase in crime, and creates a potential link to the Foot Clan, due to the research she did on Raph's misplaced sai. The Foot Clan was watching, and decided to jump April in a desolate subway as to silence her. Unfortunately for them, Raphael is also tracking her down for his sai, and beats them up. April faints, so he takes her back to their lair. After waking up, April is rightfully shocked about the appearance of our heroes, but calms down and becomes cool with them. She even invites the Turtles to hang out at her apartment. This wasn't a good idea, because after they left, the Foot Clan raided their lair and captured Splinter. This was due to a foot ninja following Raph after he took April to the lair. The Turtles stay at April's, and hide whenever her boss comes over to update her on the reception from her story from the previous day. Then the movie shows the audience the awesome HQ of the Foot Clan, with its vast collection of arcade games and other activities for youngsters. After the Shredder knights an older teen as a foot ninja, Danny steps forward and snitches on April and the Turtles, revealing their location to earn rep from the evil organization. Back at the apartment, the Turtles hang out and watch another of April's report, where this time, she explicitly mentions the help from Raphael. In typical TMNT fashion, Leonardo and Raphael get into an argument over what they should do about the Foot Clan. Leo wants to wait until they know more, but Raph wants to take action. The Red Masked Turtle decides to blow off some steam on the roof, but is then spotted by the Foot and ambushed. Unfortunately, there's too many for Raph to handle, and gets knocked down and thrown into the apartment. The Turtles put up a fight against the intruders, but it's not enough to keep the Foot at bay, so they flee into the countryside. Also, Casey showed up in the middle of the fight and escaped with the heroes. Cut back to the Foot Clan's HQ, and Danny feels regret over squealing on the crew, so he goes to Splinter to see what he's all about. Splinter sees the pain in his face, and tries to give him some friendly advice. Anyways, the heroes refuge to a farmhouse, previously owned by April's parents, and wait for Raphael to heal up. Once Raph is all healed up, they do some training and go back to New York, after receiving a telepathic message from Splinter, confirming he's still alive. They head back to their lair, and find Danny hiding there. The crew decide to get a good night's rest before attacking the Foot Clan. Danny wakes up in the middle of the night to go back to Splinter after remembering his advice. Splinter tells the boy about the story of Hamato Yoshi, his master, and Oroku Saki, the Shredder. Splinter learned ninjutsu by copying Yoshi's moves in his cage, the same cage where he watched Yoshi's life unfold. Yoshi and Saki loved the same woman, Tang Shen, but she loved Yoshi more. This angered Saki, and in a fit of anger, accidentally killed Tang Shin. The two warriors fought, and Yoshi was defeated. Splinter broke from his cage and attacked Saki, only to be thrown out of a window. Splinter has since vowed revenge on Saki for killing his master. The Shredder catches Danny talking to Splinter, and finds a drawing of Leonardo in his pocket, promoting the Shredder to sick his clan on the Turtles. Casey and Danny free Splinter, while the Turtles fight the Foot Clan ninjas. After a big fight with the ninjas, the Turtles run into the Shredder. The Turtles try and defeat the evil leader, but are unsuccessful, as he relentlessly taunts the reptiles. Fortunately, Splinter steps in, defeats his old rival, and saves the day. The Shredder gets thrown in a garbage truck, conveniently parked by Casey, and crushed by its compactor. Danny reunites with his father, April and Casey become a thing, and Splinter makes a funny.
Cowabunga.
Huh?
I made a funny.
This movie is pretty good for a basic TMNT story. It's not that in-depth with its characters or plot, but for what it's worth, everything it does is executed adequately. The story is engaging, the characters are likable, the plot has a good flow, and everything gets wrapped in a nice, neat bow. There's only a few combat scenes, but they are quite good and action-packed for what they're worth. The ending is really nice as well. It's quite wholesome and emotional with the way both fathers are reunited with their sons. It's easy to make the audience care for when the Turtles and Splinter get back together. They're already likable characters. Danny and Charles' reunion is worth it, and enjoyable because Danny is given good character development, and Charles was understandably overprotective of his son with the recent rise in crime. So now that Danny knows his dad cares for him, and Charles knows why his son shut him out, they can finally be a family again. Speaking of Danny's character development, it really works because it's more than just he feels bad for doing wrong. He tries to play his regret off, but it doesn't work. Inside, he's a good kid that was dragged into evil, which is probably the same story for a lot of the other Foot Clan kids. Not to mention, it intertwines with his relationship with his father, which is parallel to the relationship the Turtles have with their father, Splinter. One thing I liked about this movie that never really appeared in another adaptation was the way the Foot Clan was set up. Usually in other adaptations, the Foot Clan ninjas are either robots or already trained people Shredder moved from Japan to New York. In this movie, the Foot Clan recruits new members by luring troubled teens with all kinds of materialistic things and then makes them do some of their dirty work on the streets. Once they've matured enough, they're taught ninjutsu and become a Foot Clan ninja. I feel this formation really fits with the urban environment of New York. It makes so much sense. The Foot Clan needs to stay low, but need an army to fight any opposition, so they bribe kids into joining because they're so impressionable and will do anything to fit in. Now, let's talk about the turtle costumes real quick. They don't look bad, but they move kinda awkwardly. It looks like they're babbling rather than talking when they move their mouths, and their movements look stiff sometimes. Otherwise, they look decent. After all, how pretty could turtles that have been mutated into humanoids look? Okay, now the not so good things. I wish the Turtles' personalities shined more in this movie. Leonardo makes one plan as a leader, Donatello isn't really shown as a nerd, or one that has a fascination with things such as technology or science. And Michelangelo's laid-back nature doesn't work so much, because he doesn't slack off any more than the rest of the Turtles do. Raphael's personality is executed just fine, although I wish Splinter's talk about Raph having to control his anger came back around. There's not really a point where it's clear he's learned how to use his hot-headed nature for good. Secondly, the voice actors. Maybe it's me, but the voice actors are just okay. Nothing compared to the animated cartoons or 2007 movie. They all sound quite similar, and I don't really think their voices really hint at their personality like the animated adaptations do. Otherwise, I don't have any other issues with this movie. TMNT 1990 is a good, simple movie that doesn't try and create a complex story because it didn't need to. Everything is just fine and executed in such a way so that the movie keeps the viewer's attention, but doesn't have anything that really pushes it into masterpiece territory. It has a few flaws, and the costumes aren't the greatest, but these cons don't significantly hurt the overall quality of the film. Anyways, this film was a great success, and prompted the company to put 2 more live-action films into production, although they weren't as good as the first film, with a lot of the complaints towards the more juvenile nature of the films and weaker plots. Maybe I'll talk about them one day. Well, until next time, remember, there's nothing wrong with a simple, sweet story.